Hello and welcome. I'm going to double check my mic because I've had a lot of mute streams lately. No, we're good. And welcome. This is Bridie Rose Pit Light in the Forbidden Library. And today we are reading A Brush with Magic. And we're doing it hand cam style. Do you like my mug? You want to see the other side? Sunny. So Sonic Prime was amazing. Yeah. And everyone should watch it, just so you know. Damn physical. See, I wasn't... I could have got this ebook, and we could have done it the same way before. But, like I said, this one's a little special. One, it is signed by the author. Wait, I just realised something. I need to... 1 minute. Yeah, there we go. And there's lots of lovely... there's lots of lovely pictures in this book. And I feel like that comes across better in a hardback book. In a physical book. So that's why we're reading the physical book today. I don't know how well you guys are going to be able to see the text, so I will try hold it up to a degree that you guys can see it. I'll do my best there. But obviously we'll see how we go. I've got to be able to read it too. So I guess I could read it off my own screen, and if I can read it off my own screen, then hopefully other people can too. Fingers crossed. We'll see how we go. But anyway, hello Void. Hello Rare Candy Guy. Hello Rahel. Hello Boris. And hello Lucas. Welcome to the stream. Your tea sounds Spanish orange. Tea sounds lovely, Rare Candy Guy. Yes, it's hand camera. Fingerless gloves when you need the world to know just how much cool you are. Exactly. Also, my hands are usually really dry, and I have some injuries on this one. Because when I'm at work and you bash your hand against shelves and then you just get random injuries during work. That is also part of it. And aesthetics. Yeah. Physical book. So this is a brush with magic. It has a pretty fox lady and a pretty elf man. And they're cute chibi versions. Just being cute together. And this was a hand cam one. I wish I could get a Brownie Rose Smith coffee cup. All you really need is a printer and one of those coffee cup clampy things. And just print my chibi art off. Or I could get a printing company to do it like I do with the t-shirts. And like all good fantasy books, it has a very nice map in it. Which is a wonderful way to start any fantasy book. Look at that pretty, it's a very pretty map. It's got a little, look at the little sea guy. I love him. He's adorable. He hasn't come up in any of the plots yet. Oh, there's also a very cute little narwhal. He's adorable. I love him. And up here, there's a whale. And I'm sure all these names are important. But I don't remember things very well, I'm not gonna lie. Oh, there's a little octopus guy. Look at him. He looks like he's having a good time. But I'm not sure. We have no context for anything right now. So. Oh, my camera's gonna struggle with focus. This is gonna be interesting. Put it on a coffee cup and put it in the kiln for 20 minutes. At 400 degrees C. How I know is quite a long story. Fascinating. So, here's our story and characters. How am I gonna... I think I'm gonna have to, like... Can you read that? I can read that. Ciel, the goddess of light, created the world. Created a world where the air is infused with colourful threads of magic. But where light exists, so does shadow. So does shadow. Very important. Very important. I forgot Celsius existed. Fahrenheit then. I assume you mean Fahrenheit then. Apologies. My Britishness took over. Terror, the goddess of darkness. And don't you dare. This is a coinky dink that we used a similar name for that. Reigns over death and destruction. Our tale begins with a chance encounter between a fiery little warrior and a well-spoken mage. Thrown headlong into a kidnap and rescue operation, they soon discover that appearances can be deceiving. And their partnership is anything but a coincidence. Yes, Shadow the Hedgehog mug, very important. Hello, Fora. Welcome. I wonder if there's a self-insert in the story. She actually does kind of in the afterwards. No, I can't show you that. That's spoilers. There is a from the author bit in here somewhere. Yeah, I think it's in the acknowledgements in the back. She talks about that kind of thing. So. I wish I was in the story, but I did not know about... This lady did not know I existed when she wrote this. So these are our main characters. We got Rua and Silas. And I am not pronouncing Rua's full name. Look at that. Look at that. That's Rua's full name, and I'm not giving that a go. I'm already going to butcher a lot of pronunciations in this. So we're not doing it. Rua, a deadly vulpine warrior from Ieda, with a penchant for singing. More so when drunk. And the boy, Silas Teddy. His name is Silas. Silas. Just call him Rad. No, it's a woman. I call her Rad. She is very rad. A young elven mage with remarkable powers, but far too polite for his own good. And then you got these ones. Mayor Humptman. An unassuming man with an impressive moustache. Moustache. French pronunciation, probably. Yes, I think she's drawn a lot of inspirations of the elves from the French, from what I've seen. Ingrid Humptman, the mayor's teenage daughter, bright, bubbly, and very buxom. She has a de boing boing. And then we got these two. I do apologize for the shaking. I'm trying not to, like, knock my desk so much. Lich. Silent H. I will give it another go. And then this man on the left, he's called Amos, an unlucky bandit with the misfortune of crossing Rua's path more than once. Oof, poor guy. And then Jean, the innkeeper's daughter at the Hotel Muscari in Ceciles Bains. I'm doing my best. I am so sorry. I forgot that this book had so many strange pronunciations. Having a book in hand already adds an extra mention to your excitement, both figuratively and literally. Yeah. I like this lady. She's pretty. Big crush. Very pretty lady. Arfel Art. The thing is, when you read a book, like, you're just reading it. You don't actually have to pronounce it in your head. You can just go, Arfel, blah, 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 right? But now I have to actually pronounce it. God damn it. R is ta. Aristachus. I'm gonna say Aristachus. Yes. This is a special book for you, so you're totally not gonna make it really scuff right. I'm gonna do my best. For Sonia, I will do my best. You can blame this woman for my existence here. She is the reason I published Moon Girl. And if I'd never published Moon Girl, I may never have gotten thought of becoming a VTuber either. So, put some respect on this book. It's the reason we're here. Veronique Tempete, Chancellor of the... Oh yeah, I did her thing. Crown Princess of Drakenheim, a childhood friend of Silas, hot-tempered but has a big heart. Origin story, it really actually is. I end up giving characters nicknames because I'm hopeless to pronounce them. I do too! What if she just sneezed on the book and ruined it? I think I would cry. Like I said, this is a signed book. I'll tell you, before we start properly, I'll tell you the story of me buying it. Veronic Temperate, Chancellor of the Lacrium Arcanus, and Silas's mentor, respected and feared. And then you got Matthias, head librarian at the Lacrium Arcanus, soft-spoken. And Lord and Lady Heritia. I'm going to say Heritia. That's what that says now. Courtiers of the King Xavier the Fourth and Silas's doting parents. And that is the first. But yes, I'll tell you a little bit about how I came about this book and Sonia herself. So it was I believe it was a Manchester Comic-Con. My favourite part of a Manchester Comic-Con. Yeah, I'm gonna... No, I never spilled the tea on it. We'll put the tea on it, though. I'll never spill the tea on it. Hey, Bryony, do you still have too much tea? Yes, of course I still have too much tea. I actually bought more tea today. Probably shouldn't have bought more tea today. To be fair, I needed decaf tea. And then the other tea was on sale. And me and the other half have been looking in that tea for a while. It's like jam on toast tea. And I really can't wait to hear what it will actually taste like. You should buy a sewing machine. No! God, no, Void. I am... No. I do not have the time to pick up that level of crafts to be able to do that. Also, no. I couldn't cosplay Drada. I'm just not... No, I'm not athletic enough. I'm not cool enough. She's too cool for me. Anyway, And at this particular Comic-Con I went to, like, my favourite part is the indie artist's alley. And I was picking up a lot of indie comic books. And for some reason that year there were a lot of catgirls. I mean a lot of catgirls in these comics. And I was like, heck yeah! And then I saw Rua on the front of his and I was like, woo, another catgirl! And Sonia was like, she's a fox actually. And I was like, oh my gosh. Hey Bryony, for every $10 spent on merch, can I get a free packet of tea? Bryony too busy with the crochet. Crocheting is just for fun. It's like the one thing I'm trying not to monetize hobby-wise. I've been monetizing too many of my hobbies, including my reading and everything, so let's try not to do that with the crocheting. But yeah, I don't... Also, buying a sewing machine is a lot. It's an investment. I feel like I would have to make more than one thing if I had a sewing machine. And I was like, oh god, how dare I call her a cat girl when she's a fox girl? How racist of me. And then she was like, yes, and this is Silas. And then she just went on. And she just went on about, like, her babies and her book. And I was like, oh my god. She's so passionate about it. And just seeing her being so passionate that she's managed to get out this very clear passion project into book form. I went home and I was like partway through writing Moon Girl at the time and I was like, oh, I wonder if I could do that. I like this as much as I love this, like, as much as she loved her book. And I was like, I could do that too. And that's kind of how it all kicked off. And so that's, yeah. She kind of put the thought in my head to publish in the first place. Because I just saw how passionate she was about her stuff. And you know, passion is very, contagious. Contagious. You trailed off with the merch question? I mean, yeah, technically, but how am I supposed to keep track about how much you specifically are spending, Void? And also, you've spent a lot more. Am I supposed to backtrack it as well? It's so lovely hearing the origin story. I always enjoyed hearing about people's passions. It is, and it means, and it's just, I don't know. Hearing someone, like, it just means so much to them, and then they got it out, out as a physical form, and then I did it too because and the next time I saw her at a con, I actually saw that she was coming to Artist Alley again, and I took a copy of Moon Girl with me. And I was just like, oh, I wrote this because of you. I showed her it and I was like, this is because of you. You inspired me. And she was like, oh, does it have heart? And it's like, no, it doesn't have heart because I am not as... She's a talented artist, as you can tell. But I am, like, passable for someone who has not studied art and things like that. But yeah, and I showed her and I was like, this is because of you. Because you were in everything. It was very cute. Very happy. If I spend 120 in one transaction, can I get 12 Premier Teas? No, I'm not a tea shop. I'm not giving you that much tea. It's my tea. You can have like one. Maybe I'll give out a bit of tea for every 100 you spend. Also, like I said, I don't really want the tea to get caught in customs. Also, depending on what you spend, it doesn't always come from me specifically. For example, the t-shirts and everything come from other fulfilling places. I couldn't put tea in that if I wanted to because it doesn't come from me. It comes from the printer. Like the printer gets the order and ships it directly to you. So I don't have control over that. Hello, Luke. Welcome. I'm good. First hand cam reading stream, and we should get into this. I have fluffed around, I've told you the backstory, how much this book is something of a turning point in my life. And now, I share it with you. Like I said, I'll do my best to hold it in a way that you guys can see, but I might be ducking to actually see it and things. We'll do our best. The hand cam, yes indeed. Well, on your website you don't have the keychains of physical books. Everything on my website is fulfilled by other stuff right now. Also, you are distracting me, Void. I would like to start the book. Yeah, the text is very small. Do you know why? Because she has so much bloody art in this book that she had to keep the text small, otherwise she wouldn't fit all the art in the book. You are absolutely absolutely in for a treat when it comes to the art. I'm trying to get it to focus right. There we go. There we go. Okay, let's do our best. Captain, watch out! Harold turned and parried the incoming sword so hard that he knocked it out of the elven assailant's hand. He darted to the side to get a clean angle for a strike with his double-edged battle axe. His aim was sound. The elf's head came off with one slash. His only reaction to the blood spray was to wipe it off his forehead so he wouldn't get it in his eyes. Gonna be looking, no problem, Luke. Have a lovely look. He nodded to the soldier who had given him a warning. No, you! No, you! I have an emoji for this. 1 second. I specifically put this emoji in for you. There we go. That is specifically why that is an emoji. Go ahead, no. He nodded to the soldier who had given him the warning. My thanks, brother. He took a moment to assess their situation. The battlefield was strewn with corpses, and many had pointed ears of the elven invaders from Cecily, but there was no denying it. However skilled the Aryan defenders were, the members of his company were joining the fallen due to the elves' relentless assault. They were greatly outnumbered. Damn it to hell and back, he cursed. There aren't supposed to be this many! What happened to our scouts? A shrill scream made Harold whip around. One of his archers was standing with a sword in her stomach. Her guts were already spilling out of her. She was beyond help. She stared at him incredulously, as life faded from her eyes and she crumpled to the ground. He couldn't see who did it. There wasn't anyone near enough. She would have seen it coming, surely. He gripped his axe tighter, concentrating with his ears as well as his eyes. A splash from behind him. He honed in on the sound, looking at the puddles in the waterlogged fields. Something was causing those ripples. Something he couldn't see. He wasn't going to take any chances. He hefted his axe into one hand so he could pull the dirk from his boots. He flung it towards the puddle. It connected with a fleshy thud. With a pained cry, the assassin suddenly materialized out of thin air, an elven mage clutching at his thigh where the knife had landed. He barely had time to look up before Harald descended upon him with a deadly backhand spin, separating the elf's legs from his torso. The mage thrashed about in agony as the Aryan captain stood over him. "Spirit Master, eh?" Harald said. "Good thing you Vtuber are such lightweights that you drop your spirit fabric at the smallest scratch. Area's battle mages can handle a lot more punishment." Hey guys, who wants to join the Make Brainy Cryiny with Kindness Club? I'm starting to make Brainy Cryiny. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't really want to cry any. He was not without mercy, so he put the elf out of his misery with a breezy sweep of the axe, severing his head from his body. The day seems to be a day of decapitations, Harald thought wearily. The spirit mage was a clue for why his scouts hadn't returned. They had been ambushed by agents using invisibility spells. He looked towards the west. The sun had made most of its way across the sky during the fighting. They had been holding this position for several hours, dropping back only once since morning. Would there be any reinforcements coming? Given the lack of intelligence they'd received about enemy numbers, and how long they'd been fighting without any contact from the Queen's Guard, he was forced to consider the possibility that they were on their own. Ares' military wasn't stupid. If he could buy enough time, the absence of any reports from his company would soon be noticed. Even if they perished, the generals would have amassed a sizable force to investigate by morning. As a precaution, the bridge was less than 100 yards behind them now. They had to defend the main route to the capital for as long as they could, at all costs. He raised up his axe high to catch his troops' attentions. "Warriors of Yea!" he bellowed. "Set that bridge on fire! This is our last stand! No elf shall cross that bridge today, whether we live to tell the tale, or die in glorious victory! For the Queen! For Yea! Forever! Fagabelach!" He wished his company had the budget to include a piper, but his soldiers did him proud. They chanted, "Fagabelach!" His foot soldiers rallied around the archers, who started breaking down their cloth-wrapped arrows. Within moments, they were dripping them into bottles of oil and lighting them with the remains of their campfires. The first few flaming arrows were loosed from the longbows, landing on the bridge. Upon seeing the emerging fires, the Vtuber commander, a great brute of an elf, started barking orders at his troops. The enemies surged towards them, no matter If they could defeat the longbows for just a little while, if they could defend the longbows for just a little while longer, they'd be able to get enough arrows on the bridge to start a fire that the elves wouldn't be able to stop. I thought the elves were nice. Why are they fighting the elves? I mean, you'll have to wait and find out. He gritted his teeth and braced himself for impact, already analysing the front of the Versilian line the front line of the Versilians for weakness to exploit. He and his soldiers needed to take down at least 5 each to give the longbows enough of a chance. Anything else would be a bonus he hoped would add to the glory of their names after they died. As the elves rushed them, he lunged forward, swinging his axe in a massive, unstoppable arc. The blade scythed through several abdomens before smashing into a face as it hung high in the air, then came crashing down, cleaving a head in 2. It was slow going, unrewarding, ceaseless. As soon as he had dispatched one, another 2 would appear. They were starting to blur into each other. Ever the captain, he spared a thought for his soldiers. He was already beginning to flag. They must be having trouble too. Doing math in war? I thought they were all muscleheads. What makes you assume that? There's a lot of math to be done in war. You gotta know how many people you need to kill. Ciel, by the grace of your light, he prayed. We give our lives willingly, so give us the strength to defend our lands just a little while longer. Era did not stop this war. Harald! A clarion call cut through the dust and the heat. He searched for the voice that called his name and lightened his heart. The bridge was beginning to blaze at the edges, enshrouding the fields behind in smoke. He could just about make out the figure of a lone rider. Galloping through the flames, she rode her horse hard, jumping over the corpses to reach him. He barely caught a glimpse of her hooded face as she plucked a throwing knife from her saddlebag and threw it past him into the throat of an enemy soldier. But her long red tail and her deadly accuracy was enough for him to recognize who she was. "My thanks, champion!" he shouted above the noise. "Does the Queen know of our situation?" "I had my suspicions, so I rode ahead," she replied, pulling up in front of him. "Her Majesty is sending a force of 50 men. I can't read. The tea is gone. She cut herself off, clicking her tongue in annoyance as an elf rushed in. She spurred the horse into lashing out with its spiked hooves, knocking him into a line of his comrades and making them fall back in a heap. 50 men are following not 5 miles behind me. Harold's early optimism started to waver. "They will take an hour to reach us. My company has dwindled to a mere dozen. How can we hold the elves off until then?" Beneath the hood, he could see a glimmer of her hard yellow eyes turn malevolent, matching her fanged smile. He swallowed nervously, reminded that she wasn't human. "My dear Harold," she purred, "that's why I'm here." The captain had heard astonishing accounts of the Queen's champion. He'd even had the honour and subsequent pain of sparring with her once during a training exercise in the barracks, but he had not seen her work on a real battlefield. She thrust her hands behind her and drew out 2 vicious-looking crescent blades, twirling them above her head as easily as batons. She tested one of their edges with a clawed finger. "I've been wanting to give these babies a spin." She gathered her knees up and leapt high off the saddle, her cloak rippling around her like bat wings in the setting sun. She dived into the enemy, slicing through the joints in their armor with millimeter precision. Her figure disappeared amongst the Vertilian ranks, the red flashes of her tail heralding the blood that soon followed. The elves fell one by one, like puppets whose strings had been cut. In a manner of speaking, they had. Hamstrings, spinal cords, she played with them with her blades like a sadistic bow. Never before in his life had Harold witnessed such perfect kills. Each death she caused was a beautiful lesson in airy efficiency. Every crippling blow was a cruel work of art. It was, all at once, horrifying and mesmerizing. Oh yeah, Bryony, when do YouTube member roles for Discord come out? When I can, sort it out. I have the channel, it's just that it doesn't automatically update like it does on Patreon, so I need to physically go give you that member role, which I will do. There's 3 of you that can have it, I believe. So I need to make sure that everyone whose words boop, 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 boop. Well, no, because not everyone gets access to it. It's, if you go on, yeah, like, lower tier doesn't get access to the Discord thing. It is, who is it? I think it's Worms. Is it normal Worms or is it Big Worms that only get access to it? I can't remember. I'll have to double check, but, yeah. Good evening, Jobber Hopper, welcome. But anyway, where were we? Lots of murder, that's where we were. A Vasilian's sword swung towards him. He dodged and was forced to concentrate on killing the few elves she'd left alive near him. Inspired by her butchery, it only took a few seconds each to crush their skulls to the ground. With renewed vigor, he roared loud enough for the remains of his small company to hear. The Queen's champion is here! Let us show her what we're made of! The soldiers howled a war cry in approving response and redoubled their efforts. Together they created a bloodbath and proudly waded through it, taking down far more enemy troops than their number should have. Harold never felt so alive. It was as if Ciel herself was breathing her light into him. Then the thought struck him. The Queen's champion was known by another name, the Divine Dagger, a warrior chosen by Ciel herself, so long ago that most of the people dismissed it as rumour and hearsay. It was true, after all. Hey Bryony, did you say that Nulak had a chance of returning if you got 1,000 gifts? No, I didn't say anything like that! I said, I think you said something about reading a fan fiction if you got that far, and I said I would potentially leave it up to vote, and you had one, I would put it on the vote, I guess, but I'm not promising that at all, no. Her eyes quickly skimmed over the battlefield. Harald couldn't see her, but he could track her progress easily by watching the wave of slaughter she caused, a scarlet minstrel gushing over the wheat shelves of fallen men. It was truly staggering. From the moment she arrived, they, a mere 13 Aryan warriors, had slain nearly 200 elves. She made them achieve the impossible. There were cries coming from Vertilians now, a flurry of activities, and many of them started to turn around and run. What's caused them to panic? Harold wondered. He headed towards the commotion, then stopped dead in his tracks, as the retreating elves finally revealed the abominable sight of the champion. She was standing with her back to him on a pile of limbs and corpses that no doubt she had amassed. Hello, Hogan, welcome. It seems got there. You're here a little bit late, but you are here for the next pretty picture reveal. Her arms were wide apart, still holding the crescent blades that were now drenched in blood. Hanging from both tips of her blades were two halves of an elf commander's body. Everything below the waist had been shredded to ribbons, but the head was uniform. Head and uniformed torso were cleanly cut and recognizable. She was making an example of him. After a minute ensuring the fleeing elves got a good eyeful of the remains of their commander, she flung the dead flesh down at her feet and turned to face the captain, calculated savagery and bloodlust still singing in her golden eyes. It took a lot to scare Harold. He was terrified. Apparently my calculator says I'm gonna need a lot of play credits. Yeah, fair. That is a lot of chop chop going on. Would you like to see what he saw? Look at her. Look at her. No wonder he was terrified. She's pretty, but she's killed a lot of people. Yay! Lord did he do. Meanwhile, happy Adua! For actual chapter 1, that was just the prologue we just did. Doesn't she? She's very pretty. Yeah, that was the prologue, and now we're on chapter 1, Cloak and Dagger. With a very pretty little cover. Don't worry, she'll get covered in blood later if that's your thing. Rua stepped in and out of the dappled sunlight, interrupting the lush greenery of the forest with flashes of gold, tan, and russet red. She cut a diminutive figure as she strolled leisurely along the path, her footsteps making no sound, as was typical for the Vulpine race. She was naturally nimble and silent. Why haven't we seen Snuggly Wuggly in your Pokemon stream? Snuggly Wuggly? What? What do you mean? If she wanted to be. No, she was humming a boisterous sea shanty from her home country era, swinging her bushy red tail in time to the tune. She drummed on the strap of her rucksack and rapped out a counter-rhythm on the hilt of her dagger. The birds joined in, adding to her good mood. She could contain herself no longer. Twirling and skipping, she sang out loud when she hit the chorus. I love that we're like terrifying warrior. Disney princess! Oh, the ocean waves do roll, and the stormy winds do blow. We pour, the sailors are skipping at... I don't know what the actual tune is, so I'm making this up. I do apologize. The salad Pokemon you have. What do you mean? What do you mean? I'm confused. You got me confused, Void. We pour, sailors are skipping at the top, and the landlubbers lie down below, 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 and the landlubbers lie below. I don't know what's, trying to think of a sea shanty tune. There's the... What was it? Something about tea? I don't know. Can't wait for the transformation from Disney Princess to Bloodthirsty Battle Maniac. Yeah! The one that falls from Leaveney. Add it because I don't want to use it. That's why I haven't used it. Why you ask that in this stream? Very confusing. No particular reason. Just because I love it doesn't mean I'm going to use it. Also, my team already has an issue with fire Pokemon. I don't need to introduce another thing with a fire weakness. The birds chirped merrily at her performance. Rua flung her arms towards the branches, spreading her claws, tipped fingers. She addressed her feathered audience with a sharp-toothed grin. Thank you, thank you. It has been my honor to sing for you all. May Ciel bless you birds with bounty. Truly, few things are better than a forest rabble in springtime, when the flowers are blooming and the sun is shining. Her joyful outburst was cut short by her empty stomach rumbling. I guess things would be better if my tummy was full. If you want to do a sea shanty, drink tea until you start hiccuping. No! Gosh, no. That would be a waste of tea. She pouted mournfully and ran her fingers through her shaggy crop of dark red hair, pulling at the golden streaks by her temples. She had woken up too late to catch breakfast at the inn, and wasn't sure if she could last until dinner. She could really do with a snack. As if Ciel, the goddess of light, had heard her plea, Rua's sensitive nose suddenly picked up on the delicious smells of a spit roast chicken. She loved roast chicken. She pricked her black-tipped ears forward and sniffed the air for a trail. Jogging lightly, she tracked the smell, winding her way through the forest. As she neared the edge of a clearing, her ears detected the sound of male voices. She flattened to a low crouch. Threading through the shadows like silk, she stalked silently to a covered vantage point amongst the shrubs. But you said you have too much tea. That doesn't mean I want to waste it. It's good tea. I'm not just going to drink it and just drink it and drink it and drink it. I want, to enjoy it. You want to enjoy your tea. She flattened into a low crouch, threading through the shadows like silk. Oh, I said that one. Her golden eyes feasted on the sparch cooked chicken skewered over the open campfire, grilled to perfection. Those same eyes narrowed as she regarded two human males by the campfire. They looked a bit rough, weathered skin on their faces with bristly stubbles, several scars on their arms, unwashed, patchy clothes, and swords at their feet. This came to no surprise. She had figured that she might have to deal with unsavory individuals this deep in the forest. What she hadn't anticipated was their bound and gagged prisoner. He was a posh one, even for an elf. His strawberry blonde hair was long enough to settle on top of his shoulders, was partly tied back behind his pointed ears to reveal sharp, elegant features. His long robes had an air of nobility. Elaborate gold arrowhead buttons, sky blue cloth, silken burgundy lining, gold trimmings. He seemed a touch pale, but that was probably due to his unfortunate situation. She is not a stealth archer. We just saw her fight. You know how she fights. She fights with stabby things. Stabby things! I mean, she'd probably use a bow, though. Rua's very talented. She could probably use a bow. Rua's attention shifted back to the two men. How much do you reckon we could sell this fancy book for? One of them gestured, holding up an ornately decorated tome to inspect in the light. It was a large volume, slightly worn, but the leather looked to be of high quality. It was trimmed in gold metal along the sides and spine, those gold arrowheads featuring again. The book was belted closed with a leather strap that extended all around the middle. At the top and bottom of the spine were rings attached to a long leather strap. That was when Rio realized it was a mage's personal grimoire. No other books were hung with a carrying strap like that. So she's British, given the provision of service. Oh, Hogan. I mean, the author's British and I'm British, so maybe. Looks like there's a fair amount of gold in it, the other man replied. She released a barely audible hiss. Bandits, she thought, and they have my chicken! They seemed preoccupied with the grimoire, so Rua took the opportunity to catch their hostage's attention. She shifted around until she was almost behind the bandits, but still in the mage's line of sight. She waved discreetly at him. It took a little for him to notice. Then he locked eyes with her. Silvery grey irises. She unsheathed her trusty dagger, brandished it at him, and then motioned towards the bandits with a questioning eyebrow. He nodded enthusiastically. Just in case this isn't some weird thing, can I have your permission to murder these guys? Yes, please kill them. Feeling around her feet, she selected a smooth pebble, just enough to fill her palm. She rose, took aim at a bandit closest to her, and threw it with considerable force. It struck the back of his head with an audible thump. His eyes rolled up into his head, and he planted his face in the dirt. And the other one jumped up in panic. What in the AMCL? Who's there? She lunged low and fast, swiping her dagger at the lower back and slicing through his belt. His trousers promptly fell down. He whirled around, clutching at thin air as she leapt back with ease. His momentum was stifled by the trousers pooling around his ankles. Like his companion, he fell flat on his face. The bandit scrambled about on the ground and rolled onto his back. Rubbing the dirt out of his eyes, he tried to get up, but swiftly abandoned his attempt when he felt the prick of cold steel on his throat. He stiffened and emitted a strangled squeak. Rua was comfortably straddled across his chest, grinning down at him as she held the dagger at his jugular with a frighteningly steady grasp. She delivered her ultimatum. Your lunch or your life? Lunch! Lunch! He cried. Right answer. She bounced after him, vindictively digging her heel into his sternum for leverage. Ignoring the resulting hacks and coughs, she headed for the mage. And there's her doing her thing, being like, bitch, give me your lunch money. And he's like, well, shit, I best give her the lunch money. Bully for lunch. I mean, it's not lunch money. It's like, give me your roast chicken. I like roast chicken. Now. Oh, what a heavily armed Yogi Bear. Correct. This is exactly what happened. Sandwiches. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. Don't forget to take your friend with you, she added over her shoulder. The bandit hurriedly got on his feet, one hand clutching his trousers, the other pulling at his concussed colleague. Let's get out of here, he rasped. That vixen's crazy! They staggered away as Rua untied their elven hostage. He rubbed on his gloved wrists and pulled off his cloth gag to speak. Thank you so much. Please allow me to repay your kindness. She ignored him, prioritizing the chicken that the bandits left behind. After all, she was hungry and it was delicious. They may have been bandits, but at least they knew how to roast a chicken properly. After several seconds of silence, save for the sound of her chewing, the mage cleared his throat and tried again. Milady Volpine, I am Magnus Silas, Hetritor, and I am in your debt. She swallowed her mouthful and turned around to study him intently, as he bowed low with a practiced flourish and grace that only the upper-class elves could achieve in their fluttering robes. That seemed a perfect fit for him, scholarly accent, articulated cleanly and precisely in a smooth tenor. quite a contrast to her own sing-song tones and generally rolled R's. No matter how long or how far she roamed away from Era, she couldn't quite hide her soft burr entirely. He looked up from his bow with a grateful expression, but she noticed his eyes darting from her face to her hand and back. Well, she was holding a chicken drumstick after all. Polite enough not to comment, she thought. Fine by me. She began to stretch out her free hand, then stopped, reconsidering. She wiped her hand on the back of her rucksack and proffed it again. Call me Roa. Nice to meet ya. They shook hands and she turned back around to continue working on the chicken. She pulling it into quarters to make it easier for him to manage. Want some? It's good. She offered. And seeing as I'm gonna be a while eating, you better tell me how you got here. She could hear the smile in his voice. How awfully kind of you. They both tucked in, as Silas briefly relayed his story. And here they are, being cute, like, hello, strange lady who was eating chicken, thank you for saving me. You are truly welcome! Leave me to eat my chicken. Or it's like, she was just eating with that, and then she kind of just wiped it on her backpack, and then, do I have to shake that hand? It's probably a bit gross. I love it. I love the facial expressions she could do. It's so good. I'm a PhD student at Lacarium Arcanus in Fleurs. She has priorities and she's sticking to it. Yes! Roast chicken is a very high priority. I mean, you can't let it go cold and then you can't let it get overcooked. You gotta eat it while it's good. It's very important. In Fleurs in Vert Cecily, I have been researching regional differences between magical scrolls and adding any rare findings to the Lycrium's library for safekeeping. Rua frowned, trying not to get distracted by his unusual silver eyes. She regarded his face. It was smooth and unaligned, pretty almost. Even amongst elves, barely a man, and elves lived for 200 or so years. Aren't you a little young to be doing a PhD? She asked. He blushed. Yes, Indeed, I am the youngest postgraduate at the Lycrarium. Actually, I turned 18 last autumn. Rue was shocked. So young! He tried not to make it obvious, but he glanced over her, assessing her in return. But you cannot be that old yourself. Her gold eyes flashed. Rude to ask a lady that question. She snapped. He blushed again, bowing his head and dropping his eyes to the ground. I beg your pardon. Please forgive me. You think you had pork this morning? You had pork in the morning? What? Not, I can imagine maybe pork for lunch, but like in the morning? Did you have pork for breakfast? Or just a morning snack? What did I have for meat today? The only meat I had was some pepperoni on some pizza today, actually. That's the only meat I ate today. After glaring at him long enough for him to... After glaring at him long enough for what she considered sufficient punishment, she looked away, trying to hide the smile that was threatening to show on her lips. She couldn't stay annoyed at him for long when he looked so much like a sad puppy. Anyway, how'd you end up kidnapped by bandits in the forests of Amberg? We're a long way from Fleurs. Pepperoni, you say? Pepperoni! Yes, I had a pepperoni pizza. Well, maybe 11 a.m. or p.m. I don't eat very much. Fair enough. It's very interesting. He pulled himself back up, pleased that she still wanted to talk to him. I had heard there were some archaic scrolls in this area, but it turned out they had been seized by bandits, so I asked them for the scrolls. What? Whoa, wait a second. You just went up to some bandits and said, "Oh, hi there, can I have those scrolls?" Yes. She buried her face in her palms. You gotta be kidding me. A teenage magus prodigy with no common sense. Mages were forbidden from hurting others unless in self-defense. By getting into that compromising situation, he was either exceedingly naive or confident that he could get it out of them if needed to. She suspected he was a combination of both. Thank the goddess, you saved me from having to, Silas cut himself off, shifting uneasily to avoid Rua's eyes. She gave him a long, hard look. He just confirmed that he was both. He tried starting over again. Thank you for saving me. You simply must allow me to repay the favour. What are you doing? How can I assist you? For a moment she debated over how much to reveal to him, then decided to be upfront. I'm a wandering adventurer. Drifter, mercenary, blade friar, treasure hunter, call me whatever you will. I'm on my way to Westerdam Village on a job. I don't know the full details, but I can guarantee it'll involve a fight. He stood up and saluted. Reporting for duty, ma'am. She gave him another long, hard look before sighing in resignation. Just try not to get in your way. Indeed, Chase, it is physical book time. Oh yeah, Bernie, I wanted to tell you what happened Friday morning. I woke up at like 4 a.m. and was like, today is going to be a good day. Then I looked at my phone and it says there was a disaster warning. Oh no! Now that is definitely the worst thing to look up. A wandering adventurer! Who may or may not be a murderer of masses. Or at least very good at murdering people, we don't know. Either way. Throughout the remainder of the afternoon, Silas proved to be a delightful travelling companion. Awkwardly graceful was a good way to describe him. As his earlier practiced bows and flowing hand gestures were at odds with his constantly stumbling and clumsy feet. But his height made up for his rough progress, as the length of his stride allowed him to keep pace with Rua's smooth prowl. Once she got over the small talk, she generally began to take interest in his chatter. Aside from his physical awkwardness at dealing with the uneven footing of the forest path, his manner was also charmingly unseasoned. He was polite and well-spoken, but his earnestness was highly amusing, like a dog who was eager to please his mistress. At every question or observation Rua made, he would offer exhaustive replies and explorations. He was quite happy with the arrangement. She liked the sound of his voice, and she found herself warming to him very quickly. That just means he must be the best co-worker for the local grave digger. Silas Hertieta, I think it's actually supposed to be Heritier. Silas Heritier was born and bred in Fleurs, the elven capital of the kingdom of Vtuber. It was about 300 miles to the west of their current location, beyond the Erbiger mountain passes, and surrounded by the chestnut forests of Chatainon. I'm so sorry! Fleurs, with its soaring architecture, was a refined and elegant city, not only renowned for its arts and culture, but also for its lycea as centres of learning. The most famous of these were the Lyceum Arcanus, which admitted the world's most gifted and high-achieving mages into its hallowed halls. Silas did not speak of his own accomplishments, but Rua realized that for him to be a PhD student of the institution at such a young age meant that he must be extraordinary in some way. It just wasn't immediately obvious to her how, when he was lacking in street smarts. Maybe such dedicated scholars were clueless about everything. Handcam indeed, folks, welcome! Now look at these two just having a wonderful stroll together. He's so tall compared to her, it's great. Rua is so small, she's a small baby. Well, she's not a baby, she's definitely not a baby. She looks like a cinnamon roll and will kill you. Happily. Looks like a cinnamon roll and is a cinnamon roll. That is who they are. Just having a good time. Walking through the forest. He is so tall. She is so small. They look really comfortable in this situation. I know! They have like immediate chemistry. It's very sweet. Let's just do like a little up pan so you can see the rest of the art as well, not just the faces. It's beautiful. Murderous cinnamon roll, say no more. She's wonderful. She's absolutely wonderful. Rua for the win. She could sense that he wasn't very comfortable talking about his personal life, so she steered the conversation more towards Fleur's. She'd visited the capital in the past and was too happy to get reviews and recommendations on the latest shops and restaurants. He was incredibly knowledgeable about his patisseries, and he described the locations of each shops and their specialities. She got a feeling that he really liked pastries. You love this art? You should. She's a wonderful artist. Sonia Young, 10 out of 10 artist, wonderful lady. Am I a cinnamon roll? I'd like to think I'm a cinnamon roll. I am a cinnamon roll and will not kill you. And does not have the strength to kill you. Looks like a cinnamon roll and is a cinnamon roll. That is me. Although I have been accused of being a cinnamon roll with an S before. He, in turn, asked Rue about her origins. This was fair, as there was no real capital for her race. Vulpines were found all over the world in different colour combinations and builds, very much like humans. In physical appearance, their resemblance continued, save for their distinctive black-tipped ears positioned high on their heads, claw-like nails, and long bushy tails giving away their ancient ancestry from foxes, whom they still referred to as their little brothers and sisters. Bri is more like a cinnamon roll that you eat straight out of the jar. So, cinnamon powder that you see. Yeah, so I had the chance of choking you, I guess. Rua was from the Isle of Era, a verdant forested island off the north coast of Vertsilli, otherwise known as Ciel's Green Finger. This was due to its position on the continent called Ciel's Cradle, which formed a gently curved palm in its landmass and other islands. A matriarchal society which revered its queen regent, alias the Enlightened, Era's mostly human inhabitants had a ferocious pride for their lively music, stirring poetry, and unmatched military prowess. Aryan warriors were legendary for their ferocity in battle, and their eccentricities, such as playing bagpipes before clashing with the enemy, or reciting epic sonnets on the battlefield. Rua came from a small Vulpine village, a day's travel from the Aryan capital of Albanon, a major port situated on the great river of Tamis. Now I feel like with all these like place names, we should go have another look at that map. So this is Ciel's Cradle, so they live on the thumb of Ciel. which is... So that's where Silas is from, Flirs. And there's Albanon and the Isles of Eris. That's where Rua's from. These are the places. Important. Silas was very keen on finding out more about Era and Albanon. He intended to visit one day. His older brother Gildas Chevalier was stationed there in the Aryan Versilian military exchange program. Rua suspected that Silas was most probably the complete opposite of his knightly brother, that as well as being the baby of the family. He is a baby, a very tall baby, but he's a baby. She smiled as she listened to him rave about Gildas. It was obvious that Silas was full of admiration and respect for him. She wished that she had someone like that left for her to care about. Dusk gave way to night, and as Ruas and Sila reached Weston. It was a village of charming timber-framed houses. A mixture of thatched and tiled roofs topped off the low buildings, and cheerful hanging flower baskets lined the main street. The villagers were lighting their lamps. The twinkling in their windows reflected the budgeoning starlight. If you like this author so much, why don't you have her draw Moon Girl covers? I think Moon Girl cover art style doesn't quite fit what happens in the story. Like, I think I've drew it in I mean, that's fair. Because she's very expensive and high profile compared to the artists I pick. Also, I love the covers. Into a serious situation. I mean, I don't think Sonia's is going to change that much. Oh, hello, Enderman. It's very interesting to see you here outside of the Minecraft streams. Welcome. But no, I like the book covers, Void. Why you want to change them? But no, it's fair. You're allowed your opinion on the book. I am good at reading a book. That means a lot. It's a very pretty one. Has nice art all the way through. What was I up to? And yet Rua could detect an air of nervousness. Maybe it was her intuition or prior knowledge of the reason she had come here, but the men and women seemed on edge. They were going about their business with extra pleasantries. She set her jaw grimly. Time to get down to business herself and report to the mayor. She set her jaw... Yeah, okay. Silas followed meekly as Rua led them to the local inn to check in with its pub landlord, as it was well past official court hours. They walked in the main dining area to the mild interest of the locals and travellers who had their evening meals and drinks. Whilst elves, vulpines and other races were a frequent occurrence in the well-traversed forest and mountain passes of Arberge, seeing the two together were considerably less common. The landlord was a burly human, drying glasses with a flannel when he wasn't tending to the customers. I'm not gonna guess what you've got, Dinderman. You'll have to tell me, because honestly, you've given me no clues, and how am I supposed to guess? Rua nodded at him and rested her elbows on the bar. 2 pints of ale, if you please. He gave her a weary smile, then picked up 2 flagons and started filling them from the tapped barrel of the stack. Is that all you'll be wanting? We've got og roast on and the wife's just put... Is that all you're wanting? We've got og roast on and the wife's just finished cooking up another batch of mushroom soup. There's a cheap room in the attic, if you stay in the night. The landlord looked past Rua at Silas, clocking the clothes and grimoire he made as if to touch his cap. Had he been wearing one? Because he was going to do like a respect thing. Because he looks very posh. Does that mean after Moon 6 you are getting a better artist? I can't afford to get all those books redone. What? Bro! No! I'm sorry. I know you're trying to get, like, mushroom soup. Sorry, if I said soap, I do apologize. I know you mean well with these critiques, but those covers don't come out of thin air. Yeah, but how? No, but I can't change the art style from one book onwards. It would look really weird. I can't do that. It'd be just super strange. No, I can't change it. They've all got to look the same. Otherwise it'll look really weird when people get the set. It would upset me if I had books that didn't look the same. And a lot of bookish people tend to get really about these things. I can't do it. We can't do that, Void. We can't do it. It would look weird as with no teeth. Exactly. Exactly. It would look really odd on the bookshelves, like as a Brit with no teeth. Exactly. Like it's got to be consistent through all the books, so I can't just swap artist halfway through. I would have to overhaul the whole series, which is what I did when I swapped to the artist I'm currently on. Because we're already on Moon Girl's second artist. And I love her art! I'm sad that you don't like the covers, I guess. I think they're really pretty, and I think she does really well with them, but... oh well, each to their own. Each to their own. Anyway. What was I up to? Something about soup. Oh yeah, soup! At the soup store! No. Our rooms are basic, Magus, but comfortable and clean. Silas smiled warmly. Your kindness is appreciated, landlord. Thank you. Fancy but respected, Rua reminded herself. She began counting out coins from her purse. We'll be needing all those things, good man. One for the night. More than one night, I suspect. I imagine that's what the next word is, anyway. Again, haven't gotten the books yet, but the cover arts I see at the end of stream look nice. Yeah. Heard the mayor of Weston was looking for a mercenary to deal with some recent thefts. She pushed the coin towards the landlord. He placed the filled flagon of ale on the bar and pushed the money back, staring at her wide-eyed. Why didn't you say so in the first place? He exclaimed. Finally, someone's come to help us. No, missy, I'll be taking none of your coin tonight. It's all on the house. He turned towards the kitchen door. Cadine! He shouted. Get Alex to run over to the mayor right away. The mercenaries have arrived. He then turned to face the rest of the punters, some of whom were now talking eagerly amongst themselves. Gather your elders, we'll convene in an hour, he boomed at his regulars. You just put yourselves on this table here, he motioned to Rua. I'll bring your food out, so you have a chance to eat before we talk. He disappeared into the kitchen. Silas shuffled apprehensively as the pub emptied itself of locals in a flurry of activity, leaving only a few curious travellers craning their necks to look at them and wonder what the fuss was all about. He brought his flagon to the table where Rua sat, sipping her ale with a furrowed brow. What's going on? He whispered. Situation must be more serious than I thought, she muttered. If the mayor's happy to be summoned this late, they must be missing some important things. Urgent things. You put yourself on the table, yo? Maybe I said something again. After the stories and games you've played recently, it's really odd hearing mercenaries being received positively. That's true. Not wrong. Silas swallowed a grave but determined expression on his face. Well, that will not put me off. If the whole village is in trouble, we have to help them, he pronounced. Especially if no one else will. Brewer tried not to let her surprise show. He didn't seem concerned about his own safety at all. This fancy mageling was so young, so innocent, and so tactless, given the state she had found him in. Yet he exuded this air of utter conviction, as if he genuinely believed they should succeed, no matter how tough the job was. Did he have that much blind faith in her? Or was it faith in himself? She was distracted from her thoughts by the tray of hot food the landlord brought over to their table. Eat as much as you want, and if you need more after the meeting, that won't be a problem. Her eyes went wide as saucers, shining with a light that could only be described as love. 2 steaming bowls of rich, creamy mushroom soup with an aromatic earthiness. Thick slabs of seed-encrusted bread, still warm from the oven, slathered with golden butter. A colourful dish of steamed greens, sprinkled with oil, vinegar and spices. And the piece de resistance, a platter filled with generous carvings of tender roast pork. God, I'm getting hungry. I had dinner, but I'm hungry again. Cooked masterfully, as if the meat was juicy and moist, accompanied by strips of crispy crackling. Oh, the crackling! She hadn't seen a spread like this in weeks of being on the road, so she dived straight in. Silas managed to restrain himself just long enough to thank the landlord, who was already beaming with pride. Any decent publication likes a happy customer. It's going to be a Studio Ghibli food descriptions. Yes, they are! It's making me hungry. He said, gesturing towards Rua as he walked away. And you can't get much happier than that one. Oh yeah. For a good part of the following hour, only the happy sounds of slurping, tearing, chomping and gulping emanated from their table. As they slowed their pace towards the end, villagers young and old were starting to arrive in clusters, taking their seats around the edges of the dining room. The room was almost full by the time the mayor entered. Short and stout, he was dressed plainly and somberly in dark colours. Aside from the high quality of his understated clothing, a simple gold chain was his only badge of office. His unassuming appearance enhanced his tearful eyes and his impressive bushy moustache, which quivered with emotion. I am Mayor Humpton. He stopped just inside the door and noticing the pair tentatively addressed them. I am Mayor Humpton. Are you the ones who answered my request? Rua rose and stepped forwards, giving a curt bow. I think he's going to break down crying, do you? I am... that word. Also Rua. Daughter of the Isle of Era, Dagger CL. She responded, formally identifying herself as a mercenary with a specialism in knives. I am a proficient bounty hunter and blade for hire, with a very high success rate and many years of experience. The Bayan nodded, hopefully. Yes, that sounds very good, he mumbled, wringing his hands. Forgive my impatience, but how many years of experience? It's just that, Rua's hair bristled slightly. Many, she hissed through clenched teeth. Vulpines age gracefully, sir. He nodded violently. Yes, of course. And your colleague? She'd almost forgotten about him in the exchange. Oh, this is Silas Larry, she struggled. The elf nearly tipped over himself in an effort to extricate his legs from the benched table. His following bow and flourish wasn't quite enough to cover up his initial clumsiness. Major Silas Hertier of the House Hertier, Fleur's researcher for the Lacrium Arcanus, he announced. And a part-time battle mage. Only part-time, though. Who was spurted? Battle mage! Who was he trying to kid? The mayor was overcome with emotion. The tears began to freely flow down his cheeks. A fierce warrior and a battle mage! Surely we cannot fail! He soddened his mustache. His sodden mustache vibrated as he wailed and sunk to his knees. Please bring my beloved Ingrid back! Rua and Silas stood open-mouthed as the villagers surrounding the mayor rushed to his side, pulling him back to his feet and doting on him. They brought him to a chair, fanning his face and dabbing his tears. Rua shared a look with Silas, knowing they thought the exact same thing. What had they gotten themselves into? Ingrid is his buxom daughter that we read about at the start. But yes, I'll give you a little scan of the picture. The poor mayor, his daughter has been kidnapped, and his only hope are these mercenaries. I can only hope the dear Ingrid comes back unharmed and as bubbly as ever. The landlord approached the dumbstruck doer to explain. Westham is a popular stopover village for tourists and travellers from all over Ciel's Cradle, particularly between the Kingdom of Vercelli and the Palatinate. The Pala area. You could practically draw a line straight from Fleur's to Drakenheim, and we'd be in the middle. As such, bandits steal from travellers in our village and the nearby hamlets from time to time. Usually it's nothing major, hardly crime on the scale of the big cities, mind you. He scratched the back of his head, frowning. But recent months they've struck so frequently, sometimes even in broad daylight. There's nary a person who hasn't been robbed. We're hiring more, but our current guardsmen are few and run ragged, trying to keep an eye on the whole region. Then the bandits held up my inn. The landlord turned and headed towards the bar where the matronly woman in an apron was standing. He placed his hands on her shoulders protectively. It was in the late afternoon, when my Karian was cashing up the lunchtime take-ins. There were a few stragglers in the pub finishing off their drinks, including Ingrid Hampton, the mayor's only daughter. Pretty little thing, liked to work on her sewing in the corner. He shook his head regretfully. 5 of them busting here, armed to the teeth and asking for the money. I was in the cellar when I heard Karen shouting as they were pulling the coin bags from her. I came rushing upstairs, 2 or 3 I could have taken, but not all 5 at once. They must have seen me thinking about it, so one of them grabbed Ingrid and put a sword to her neck, saying they'd kill her if I moved. What could I do? A wail escaped from near the door. Ingrid! My darling Ingrid! The landlord paused, his tale as the villagers gathered up around the mayor to soothe him once more. Mayor Hampton has every reason to be upset, the landlord continued in a lower voice. His wife died many years ago. His son's already married and settled elsewhere, so Ingrid's his last remaining pride and joy. Poor guy, thought Rua, watching the mayor weep. The scoundrels are now old enough for ransom, but the village can't afford to pay their price, not after what they've already taken. Losing money in objects is one thing, but poor Ingrid! The landlord trailed off momentarily. His wife took his hand, patting it in consolation. He shook his head and pleaded. The original request was for thinning their numbers and retrieving some stolen heirlooms from their stronghold. But this latest incident only took place last week. Local mercenaries were already hesitant or cancelled their contracts because of how large the bandit force were rumoured to be. And since Ingrid's kidnapping, no one's dared to come forward till now. He gestured to all the villagers. We'll give you everything we can to get Ingrid back. She's the most important. There were murmurs of agreement all around. Rua closed her eyes and digested the situation for a few seconds, formulating a rough plan of action. I assume Ingrid is a common girl's name, right, Bryony? I don't think it's a common name by any means. It is definitely a girl's name, but I don't think it's common. I've never met anyone actually called Ingrid in real life. The only Ingrid I can think of, off the top of my head, is another fictional character. Did anyone watch Fillmore when that was a thing? The Disney Channel cartoon Fillmore had his partner was called Ingrid. That's the only Ingrid I can think of. I've never met an Ingrid, but always thought it was a cool name. Indubitably. Fillmore, yeah! Someone else remembers. I used to watch that show, and as much as I really enjoyed it as a kid, all I could think about was, like, my suspension of disbelief sometimes broke with that show, and I was like, God damn, everyone in this school takes everything so goddamn seriously. It was great. I loved it. She nodded sagely and opened her eyes to a sea of hopeful faces. She grinned to reassure them. You've got the best of the best. I'll get her back and then some. The pub erupted in cries of relief and eager anticipation. Offers of help and questions about what was needed soon followed. Rua held up the hand to quieten everyone down. No need to engage the guardsmen directly just yet. If the main priority is getting Ingrid back, it'll be easier if I sneak in tomorrow night rather than lead a large attack. We should be able to slip back out without too much trouble. You all need to be vigilant and prepared to receive us when we get away, and to repel any retaliations afterwards. Then we'll stay and help for a few weeks until more guardsmen arrive and we bring down those bandits' numbers significantly. Oh, I know another one that Bryony really loves. Dead Dragons. In another manga, of course. I am confused by what you mean. Silas intruded by raising his hand, although it was apparent from his shining eyes that he could barely contain himself. Like a schoolboy who knows the answer, Rua mused. Yes, she said. He put his hand down. I can create a diversion at their main entrance with spells, and whilst they are distracted, we can infiltrate their stronghold with a minimal fuss. Yes, another. There is. You know how a lot of light novels, they have maybe like 5 bits of art per book? Sonia said no, fuck that. And has, you can barely go 4 or, I think at the most she has maybe 4 or 5 pages between every art. There's so much art in this book. We? She thought. I don't know if you'd help or hinder me with those gnarly legs of yours. Fine, fine. If you want to stay at the front entrance, then you can come with me inside. But you better follow my instructions to the letter. I'm not letting you mess up my operation. Silas nodded exuberantly. Rue was yet to be convinced, but tried to find some positives. At least it means you can carry equipment for me, she grumbled. Oh, mages do not need to do that. Her ears twitched and piqued her interest. What do you mean? Silas seemed surprised. Have you never seen a mage's inbox before? So it is a lot of art per page. It's great. But that's why the text is so small, because she wanted to fit in a lot of art. A mage's what? I mean, don't get me wrong. I've been around your type, but I've never heard of that. She scratched her chin and then bobbed his head in understanding. Of course, unless you are in constant contact with a mage, or involved with the inner workings of the enchanted portal system, you would be unlikely to see someone accessing an inbox. Silas closed his eyes and spread his arms wide, indicating for everyone to give him some room to demonstrate. Of course, everyone knows there are 5 elements of magic: earth, air, water, fire, and spirit. Although a mage is strongly linked to one particular element, all mages have basic affinity with spirit. A soft white light began to emanate from his hand. With a glowing fingertip, he started to trace a rectangle in front of him. To the wonder of Rua and the villagers, his finger left a glowing trail. The shining lines hung in the air like a window frame in an invisible wall. And the next picture is a little bit early, but I guess it's very hard to place your pictures when you've got to do it. But he's got an inventory. He's got an inventory thing. He can just go in and pull stuff out of a little box. He just goes boop 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 boop, and then put hand in, take thing. He has inventory. More art, la 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 la. And he's so proud to show you. Look at my inventory. My inventory's amazing. Yes, yes it is. Where'd his hand go? We don't know. Find on the next page. That would be pretty useful to store copious amounts of tea bags! Correct. She looked like Luca Trustworth. Are you sure she hasn't worked on any PS2 games before this? I don't think so. She has a website that you can check out. She probably has it in the book, where she talks about all the things she's done. I know she did a cover for an Assassin's Creed comic at one point. She got hired for that. She's also done one of her arts was on a runway at one point. It was very cool. She's done some really cool stuff with her arts. It's a similar technique used by spirit specialists to work the Great Gates at Fleurs and Drakenheim. Silas continued to explain, except on a much smaller scale. When you run into Bryony on the street and she pulls out her magical inventory full of tea and asks, "What are you buying, stranger? What kind of tea do you need, stranger? Do you need to calm down? Here's some chamomile. Oh, well, you got a headache? Here's some green." Silas continued to explain, except on a much smaller scale. They created a larger spirit portal for travellers to step through. The glow on his hand disappeared. With one hand, he pushed on the rectangle and it yielded, like a sprung-serving hatch. He pushed his other hand through the opening and past his elbow. It disappeared inside, to the cries of astonishment. I created a small spirit portal to access my inbox. he said, rummaging around. He bit his lip, frowning for a time, then his face lit up when he seemed to find what he was looking for. He pulled out a piece of paper and handed it over to Ruud to inspect. "I store my travel supplies in here," he said, vanishing the portal. "Mages can even send each other messages and small gifts by leaving them items in each other's inbox, if we have harmonized our spirit protocols." Satisfied that it was indeed a normal piece of paper and not just an illusion, Ruud cut straight to the chase regarding the practical applications of an inbox. "So I could put lots of stuff in there." Silas looked worried. "Actually, there are limits on how much." "Well, then how big is it?" That depends on the physical size, location, and the mage's ability. It is a box I have enchanted at the Lacrium." "How big?" she pressed. 2 cubic yards, he said proudly. "It'll do." Her ears shook slightly. His ears shook slightly in offense. I will have you know that mine is bigger than most." "Oh, really?" she retorted with a wink, unable to resist. Silas blinked twice. "Oh." Then his eyes went wide, and he blushed from the tips of his ears. "Oh, no, I did not mean." "Oh, what a sweetie. What a sweet man. Sweet boy." He was drowned out by the raucous laughter of the crowd. "Aye, that was all he needed," the landlord wheezed, wiping his eyes. "Tonight, friends, we wish you well. You have free room and board as long as you require. As for the rest of you, drinks are on the house! Way!" A resounding cheer from one and all started a spirited evening of drinking and revelry. The villagers eagerly swapped anecdotes with Rua. They listened intently to her tales of adventures and life on the roads in return, offered her amusing accounts of quirky tourists from the far reaches of the continent. Silas entertained the younger ones with the glittering illusions of lively animals crafted out of spirit. He also inadvertently kept the teenage girls occupied. They seemed content to just stare at him as he smiled and laughed with the children. As the night wore on and the children went home, serious drinking got underway. And Rua loved singing when she was sober, which meant that when she got tipsy it was inevitable that she would begin leading the villagers in a rousing rendition of a traditional Aryan drinking song. "I'll lend you me ma when I get home. The boys won't leave the girls alone. They pulled me hair, they stole me comb, but that's all right till I get home. She is handsome, she is pretty, she's the belle of Albion City. She is counting 1, 2, 3. Please won't you tell me who is she?" I'm proud of that one. I managed to guess a really good tune for that one. The chorus changed up a key. Rua began to dance on the tables. Too much encouragement for the locals, who clapped in time. She eventually interrupted her casual approximation of an Aryan sword dance on the bar to rescue an uncomfortable Silas, who was cornered by no less than 3 single ladies. By bullshittily challenging him to a drinking contest. This was ill-conceived for her, because it only took 3 flagons of the most vile concoction the landlord boasted would get even a dragon drunk to make her start feeling drowsy, and even fluffier than usual. The floor swooped up to say hello to her, and it felt so comfortable and nice and dark underneath the table. The next thing she noticed was how warm and soft the floor felt, even though it was moving. And why was her nose being tickled by a broom? No, It was hair. And it wasn't the floor she was on. Yay! Anya, Rua got pissed. Can I bullshittery challenge you to a tea drinking contest? No, you can't. You will lose. No good. She got a little bit drunk. Poor Baba. Silas was giving her a piggyback ride up the stairs. Oops, she thought. Oh, it got that bad, huh? She humphed and shifted forward to distribute her weight better over his shoulders. He craned his neck around to check on her. She pouted in response. Ah, are you back with us? He said cheerfully. The landlord and I took half an hour to clear everyone out. Rua sleepily hiccuped. I'll never live it down. Silas was quick to reassure her. I am male, significantly larger in volume than you, and elven. Emphatically and statistically, in a contest, I will drink you under the table. It is nothing to be ashamed of. Beaten by a young whippersnapper. She is angry. She's a sore loser. How dare I lose to this child? Biology, bitch. He reached the attic and bolstered himself for a moment to free a hand for the door. He hesitated slightly. How old are you, anyway? He asked. Oh, I thought I'd hit that in the bud earlier, Rua thought angrily. As he twisted the handle and slammed the door open with his foot, she mumbled, as truthfully as she dared. I lost count. Don't know anymore. Drunk as a skunk. Fox! Of course. I get the bed. You get the floor. Smug. He is smug. They're so cute. Look at them. So cute. So cute. So cute. 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 So cute. So cute. So cute. 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 How old are you anyway? Rua stood at the edge of a vast lake, its grey shores obscured by mist, revealing only crowning bare branches of winter trees. The air was crisp and sharp, her breath making clouds as she stared, riveted, at the shining light in the centre of the expanse, suspended above the still waters. A light shimmered and shifted, morphing into the shape of a woman. Rua continued to stare, slowly making out more details. Long white robes twisted with gold, hugging her full figure, hair in pearlescent shades of pink, flowing around her head in waves as if immersed in water. The woman opened her eyes, as blue and as deep as the great ocean of the west. They crinkled kindly with her beatific smile. She held her arms open, beckoning. Rua walked towards her. On the water, over the water. It was like she was walking on spring grass after a sun shower. The woman shone brighter and brighter. Rua raised her hand to shield her eyes from the light. How old are you, anyway? Rua, then, you want to see the pretty lady? There she is. There's the pretty lady on the water. La 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 la. Rua woke, shielding her eyes from the late morning sunlight. Over the course of the morning, the sunbeam from the small window had travelled across the floor of the attic and onto her face. She groaned dramatically, and then immediately wished she hadn't, as the empty room made her own voice ring louder inside her throbbing head. She rolled onto her side to wait patiently, wincing until the ringing died down. She didn't try to go back to sleep. She didn't want to, as the dream and the memory it represented was bittersweet. Why'd that elven brat keep bringing that up? You don't have to gang up on Enderman, guys. It's okay. They're allowed to not like the stream. I mean, that was a little rude, but hey-ho. They weren't insulting me, I guess. I do admit, Enderman, if you do not like the stream, you don't have to be here. No one's forcing you. But I appreciate you guys wanting to defend me, though. Thank you. She fumed, blaming it on him. She couldn't put her finger on it. Her instincts screamed that he was a good person, that he was so pretty to look at. Was no chore either. She found herself liking him a lot, even after spending only one day with him. She hadn't felt so comfortable with anyone else in years. But there were some niggles. Yeah, also, that's true, Enderman. Don't be rude to other people in the chat, too. Like, you could be like, how would you do that? It was like, no, I want to stay here. But yeah, don't be rude to other people in the chat either. Battle mage, part-time or not, she didn't think he would harm a fly. He chose not to. Yet his self-confidence was such that she had a feeling he was hiding something significant from her. From everyone. Well, she couldn't complain about that. So was she. Which brought her to this last point. It was as if he had an inkling about what she really was. Though no one else seemed to suspect it. She clicked her tongue, irritably chiding herself. Maybe she was being paranoid, and he was giving off that impression by accident? She shouldn't let him get to her like that. Everyone has their secrets, and maybe she shouldn't get too attached to him either. It would sting less when they parted. He wasn't asleep, was he? Rua rolled back over to face the rest of the room and sat up in bed. The room was empty. There was a neatly folded stack of linens on his mattress. An early bird and tidy type, she observed, adding to her growing list of mental notes about him. She glanced at the pile of her light armor in the corner. Well, it was as good that she remembered to take it off. It would have been terrible to fall asleep in all that. She couldn't remember doing it herself, though. Her heart beat faster as she wondered whether Silas had helped her undress. Oh, for the love of CL, I've only known him for a day! And I'm supposed to be the older, responsible one. He didn't see anything. She looked down at herself in slight panic, then blew out a sigh of relief. It was just the armor. She'd kept her vest and shorts and bandages on. That was all right then. She looked at the pile of armor again and decided she couldn't be bothered with lacing it all on. It could wait till later. Rua stood up and stretched like a cat, wincing a little as she heard a few joints click. Her back was always a little stiff if she went to bed drunk. She reluctantly made her way downstairs. There. Buttons and notifications and things. Warm, wholesome wafts of spicy patisseries. Spicy pastries. Spicy pastries. I read that right. Wafts of spicy pastries. I guess they mean spiced pastries, not spicy. Maybe? I don't know. In the oven washed over her as she descended into the dining area, where a few travellers were finishing off their breakfasts. Yeah, like, pastries could be spicy, but I don't imagine it. Silas was sitting in a corner booth, with a half-finished plate of mini croissants and a mug of steaming black coffee. He was writing a letter. Spicy pastry, as in spicy cake? I don't know. I mean, a pastry is not a cake. To me, a pastry is like everything but yeah, your croissants, your pan of chocolate, things like that. Pastries are supposed to be sweet, exactly. I mean, they can be spicy. Like, you can add like chili chocolate kind of thing. Rua bounded onto the seat opposite, startling him. His elbow caught the edge of his mug. Quick as lightning, she whipped out her hand to steady it. You love pastries, Enderman! Who doesn't love a good pastry, though? Everyone should... and even if you say you don't like pastries, unless you're allergic to anything in pastries, that probably just means you haven't found the pastry for you yet. Like, I love me a cinnamon roll, which I suppose shouldn't be too surprising. He gave her a look of gratitude. Good morning, Rua. I am sorry, I did not mean to start my breakfast without you, but I thought it best to leave you to sleep a little longer. She waved him off, grabbing a croissant from his plate. His eyebrows twitched into a frown of possessiveness for just an instant before his usual good manners smoothed them over. Amused, she took a big chomp. She caught the eye of the landlord's wife and pointed at Silas's coffee mug. Karine smiled and nodded and headed into the kitchen. Rua swallowed, then eyed Silas as he signed off his letter with a flourish. What you doing? She growled. I forgot to spell. I imagine Kawhi said, are you gonna finish your croissant? Would I eat a spicy cinnamon roll? I would try a spicy cinnamon roll. For the absolute giggles of it, I would try a spicy cinnamon roll. I cannot say that I would enjoy it, but I would try it. You should always try something once. You never know. Society might frown on it, but your taste buds may love it. You never know. He folded the letter, then closed his eyes. Veronique, he whispered, touching a glowing finger to his lips, then pressing it against the letter. Similar to his demonstration the night before, when he traced the edges of the paper, his finger left a shining trail. It burned brightly, then disappeared. He smiled at Rua. I was just writing a letter to my PhD professor, Veronique. I have to keep her advised of my progress once a week. She looked at the piece of paper with a frown. It seemed like a normal folded letter, but without a wax seal. Why'd you do that thing with the glowing and stuff? She asked. Ah! He replied with glee, handing it over. Try to open it. She took the letter from him and attempted to unfold it. No matter how hard she tried, her fingers couldn't lift up the seam. She couldn't even feel the joint, even though she could clearly see it. After about 30 seconds, she was already infuriated. What in the name of Ciel? She snarled. And we have another picture! Yummy, yummy croissant time. And generally being... That was my croissant. Not my croissant! Wait, have you watched Jimmy Neutron as a kid? It was on Nickelodeon. I didn't really watch much in Jimmy Neutron. I remember watching the movie once where they get stuck in that like intergalactic TV game thing, but no, I didn't really watch much Jimmy Neutron. Well, can I have a hint, Enderman? Yeah. You ask us to guess a lot of things, Enderman, and then you never give us any hints. It's very hard to guess with no hints. I still don't know what the answer was to the thing you wanted me to guess. What you had. I don't know what it is still. You torture me with your guesses and your asks to guess, and we get no answers! But anyway, how are we? Oh shit, it's already 2 hours. What the heck? I was having so much fun. I love this book so much. We've only run like that much. I'd only be given permission to read 25% of this book, so honestly, we probably wouldn't get much further. So let's just have a look at some art. Look at this. It is art. It is beautiful. Look at him. And then look at Ingrid taking no shit. And I think that's about 25%. So this is about all we can look at. But just a little... Look at how much... Picture. So much art. So much art in this book. If you have not already, I think... Oh, did I forget to put... I forgot to put a link in the description again. I'm sorry about that. I will put a link in the description. I also want to just show you the sequel that I am in the middle of reading. I haven't finished this yet. I'm a good halfway through. But this one too. Art. So much art. So much art in both of these books. They are both wonderful. I would be kind of mad if you distracted me the whole way through with this one, Void, because, like I said, this book means a lot to me, and I do actually really want to read it and not get distracted. Can we get briny art? If someone draws it, sure! But, you know... it's kind of hard. I do want to commission Sonia to draw me at some point. It is one of my goals, because I love her. Ingrid about to show that diplomacy. Yeah. But that was the preview of Brush with Magic. I'm literally gonna go get the link to maybe the Amazons are just fine. Amazon. A Brush with Magic. Chronicles of Ciel. I'm gonna stick it in the chat right now. Can I commission to draw a skeletal dragon? I mean, you do what you want with her money. Oh, I know. I'll give you a link to her website, actually, instead, rather than Amazon. Let's not give Amazon money. I think it's... Sonia Lee... I think it's got, like, Fire Drake or something. Yeah! I'm gonna put this in the chat with you guys. This is Sonia's website. So you can find places to buy Spell of Scarlet. She's also published 2 how to draw manga books, which I actually have. 1 minute, I can show you those too. They're behind me somewhere. Where did I put them? Did I put them away? They're down past me. No, I didn't. Found them. I found them. Oh, there's Pokemon cards in the way. Yeah. She's got beginning manga. By Sonia Young. And drawing manga heroines and heroes, also by Sonia Young. She's a very successful artist. And I like her art a lot, so I bought a lot of her things. It's a big inventory. There's a lot of inventory in there. And it's very messy and unorganized. Yes, speaking of, I do have a slight announcement actually. So some of you may know, are you ever gonna learn to draw from reading those? Or are you hoarding those? I've started learning a little bit. Like there's like pages in it. It's signed. And look, Silas and Rue are in this one. Look. Na na na. But yeah, there's pages where you can, like, this is find a page I've done. Yeah, where you can do like your own thingy. So I drew Drada, Tim, Claire, and Leo. But yeah, I do look at them when I have time, but you know, it's time. But anyway, like I said, I do have something of an announcement. So on Monday evening, so where do I even start? So, some of you may know that I got hired by a lady called Selfie, who hired me to write some gaming walkthroughs for her. I've done some videos for her, and she's now interested in paying me to stream for her. I will be streaming on her channel on Twitch on Monday evening, my usual Ruiner time. It will be 8 p.m. British Standard Time on her Twitch. I will be putting links into my Discord for it, but it will be I will be streaming as a different persona. I wanted you guys to know because it is technically still me, and if you enjoy watching me, you will enjoy watching me on Twitch. But it will be with a different model and different persona, which won't be too much of a difference. I'm not planning on putting on an act like I did with New. I'm not planning on having another personality shift like New Lark. Did you get a cut of her earnings? She's paying me specifically for it. So even if that stream doesn't make anything, I'm still getting paid for it. So that's why I'm definitely giving it a go with her. But just so you guys are aware, if you mention Bryony Rose Smith in the chat during that stream, though, I will ignore you. It's a separate persona. I want you guys to know, because like I said, it's me. You find me entertaining, therefore you'll find me entertaining there. But I'm trying to keep it separate, just in case Selfie decides to not keep me around. So that's the thing. So I'll reiterate this on Discord for people. I probably won't mention it in the community posts for YouTube though, because like I said, that's the whole separation thing. Discord, I can at least explain myself better, whereas I don't really want to put the links on the community side, if you get what I'm meaning. So you may see me on Monday on Twitch, but if you don't see me then, I hope you aren't lying about your name to... No, I mean, she knows who I am, and she's seen this channel and everything. So I'm not lying about my name, I've just made a different VTuber persona to stream with for her, that's all. I'm not lying to her about anything. She's my boss, I can't! Although I don't think she quite understands VTubing, so we'll find out how she feels about me by the end of it. Understood, I will hope you have to show up and support the suspiciously familiar Brit. Yeah, there'd be this strange cat girl who just seems so familiar. It would be great. Where would the link be again? I don't have it right now. I will put it in the Discord with a description, so I will put it in the announcements part of the Discord very soon. But I wanted to let you guys know on stream as well. But for those of you who aren't interested and don't want to look at Twitch, I will be back streaming on Tuesday. And we will be streaming some Library of Ruda! And that'll be the time you can next catch me. Obviously, there will be a schedule up at some point soon, too. And that is all I have for you. Thank you so much to everyone for coming. Thank you, everyone in the chat. Thank you, everyone who lurked. And thank you to anyone who watches the VOD. If you have not already, I would highly appreciate it if you could leave a like and subscribe to my channel. We're doing pretty well. We're picking things back up after Christmas. The stats are looking nice. Thank you very much, guys. Being discreet and supportive and knowing quality is also good luck on Purple YouTube. Yeah, fingers crossed. If we can get her channel to affiliate, like, as soon as possible, I have more chances of getting paid by her. Yes. If you'd like to support me in any way, you can join channel membership for exclusive streams, or Patreon for exclusive streams and stories, or you could just throw some money at me via Super Chats or Kofi. I would appreciate either, but I do appreciate everyone's support in general. Didn't she have like 5,000 followers? I think she's got quite a lot on YouTube, but her viewership isn't amazing, but she hasn't got anything on Twitch. The Twitch is a fresh start channel thing. But yeah, it's up to her. It's up to boss. The grand boss, if you will. But yeah, that is all for me today. I had a lot of fun. Go check out Sonia. She's amazing. Her art is so good. She even teaches other people how to art. And check out A Brush with Magic as well. It's also very wonderful. Yeah, that's all I've got for you today. Thank you so much, everyone. I had fun. I hope you had fun. This has been Bryony Rose Smith, live in the Bin Library. Goodbye!